Truth is stranger than fiction. When it gets too hot in your kitchen.
My name is Ole Dammegard, or Dammegard, as most English people know me under. And I was born many years ago, or my body was born in Denmark. I grew up in Sweden. We moved to Sweden when I was a kid. And I grew up in a family that was very much involved in the Danish resistance movement against the Nazi occupation during the Second World War. So I grew up with all of these stories. We had lots of my dad's friends in the house, that was speaking about the old days, sabotaging, blowing up tanks and factories and trains and these type of things. And my granddad was in jail for helping Jews escape to Sweden. My grandmother's sister used to smuggle guns in baby cots and so on. And I grew up in a house where there were weapons hidden and so on as well, even until in the 70s or something like that, I think. And I'm starting to find out that I believe that my dad was part of the Gladio network, actually, which I had no idea, but that's the only thing that makes sense now, the more I find out about these things.
Just for people who don't know, what is the Gladio network?
The Gladio network was a creation by the CIA after the Second World War, where they came up with the idea of, since we have a threat in the East, the Russians, how about we creating a ghost army that consists of hundreds and thousands of small cells of 6 to 8 people that are only in contact with each other over radio. And all of them will have the weapon depots, food depot, fuel depot, radio equipment, ammo, all of these things. But it will not be visible. So that if the country gets invaded, we get the royals and the politicians and the creme de la creme of society, we get them out, get them to London, and then the whole resistance army is already in place. So in one way, I think absolute great idea. And they forced all NATO countries to create a part of this ghost army. But then this ghost army later was turned into, or started to be used in what is called the strategy of tension, which is a tool of terror that has been used in Western society for so many decades. And this is what I've been focusing some of my research on for a long time.
Wow. And your father was part of that network, you believe?
I do believe. I had no idea until a few years ago when I suddenly started putting this, the pieces together. How on earth would an ordinary man he used to be a captain in the army, and he was in the resistance movement. I mean, they had weapons in the war, but why was he allowed to keep the weapons? Because I remember finding, he had a Colt 45 automatic, he had a Browning. There was a machine gun, these type of weapons. How he always said that it was from the Second World War, that they had just confiscated them and that he was taking, but there was also these friends that used to come and visit him that was also in this group, and they were all many times talking behind closed doors and things. So, also the people that he helped them in a way that did not really make sense to me, because I thought that they didn't even know each other, and suddenly he helped them, this guy with loans, he helped him to move to Sweden, create a new life, and it was, but suddenly if you see it from that point of view, he would have been a perfect person in Denmark, in the Danish part of this Gladio, to recruit, and then given a job for the Esso oil company. I mean, we're back to the military-industrial complex, where he was given a good position there. And I think that he was using that as a cover as well to take care of people in the Gladio and former freedom fighters and so on, that were given gas stations to take care of and deal with. He's dead since 1991, so I have no idea, but it just hit me a while ago that, whoa. I feel that from a very early age, I knew somewhere inside of me that I would be part of saving the world. I had no idea how this was going to happen. I had no idea why or what my part would be. I just knew that I would be part of it, that my part of my dharma, if not the thing I'm here for, is to heal this world, to be part of healing it. And when I look upon my life and when I look upon my bookshelf over the years, it's been death and destruction, conspiracies, dark assassinations and terror, and spirituality. It's been very extreme, the light and the dark. And I just feel that I had no idea when I sort of woke up in the beginning of the 80s. I think it was actually around 1984, symbolic year, where I started understanding that, oh my God, we are being lied to on a scale that is just unreal.
Yeah.
And it blew me away because it was especially when I saw the Zapruder film for the first time. It was a very late night.
Which film, please?
The Zapruder film, which is it's one of the it's a bystander that films the motorcade when JFK was assassinated, and it's on his film that you suddenly see how JFK is hit in the head with this awful headshot that makes his whole head explode.
Yep.
But it's very obvious, it's an absolute no-brainer that the shooter was somewhere in the front and to the right of him, not where the official story says up 6 floors behind him and to the right.
Yep.
It's just physics. His head would go forward and to the left. It went backward and to the left.
Correct.
So, and to find out how they could even that was 20 odd years after the assassination, and still to this very day they're holding on to this theory that is absolutely, baloney. It's an absolute lie, and it's so obvious if you have an open mind that it's just not true. So why are they holding on to that, and why are people in such high positions in society sticking to that thing? When I started seeing that, I really felt that, my God, somebody needs to look into this. And I didn't see anyone doing it. So I just got almost obsessed trying to find out what had actually happened. And it started with the JFK assassination. I read everything. I mean, I think hundreds of books. At that time, it was way before the JFK movie and all of these things. So it was not common knowledge that there was a conspiracy behind it. And so I did everything I could. I moved to England. I looked around in bookshops there. I went to the States. I did everything I could. And then the more into that area, starting to see how this had. I even started writing a book actually on the JFK assassination, just for my own sake, to try, because it's so multi-layered and there's so many players involved, and these players keep changing positions. And I mean, they're working for the CIA, they're part of the mob, they're paid by the FBI, and they work sometimes from the Secret Service. It's the same persons just playing around, playing ball like this. So it was a very confusing area to get into. But that led me into the Martin Luther King assassination, the Robert Kennedy, Malcolm X, back to Abraham Lincoln. And then in '86, the Swedish Prime Minister, Olof Palme, was shot dead in the streets of Stockholm.
kitchen.